Hey guys, so here's your answer question for week 3, assignment 1, which was your discussion question. Before you photograph a public figure, it is best to research your subject. Assume you are assigned the task of photographing Stephen King, the writer, in his home. Describe the research and the photographic process you would use to shape your idea for the photograph. Describe how you would use light, quality, direction, and ratio to make your photograph most effective. Yeah, some great answers here, and I hope you had an opportunity to go through and read some of your classmates' answers. Let's see if I can find some of them that were really thorough. Okay, well, actually, almost all of them are really thorough, to tell you the truth. So almost everybody mentioned that if in the event that you didn't know anything about Stephen King, of course, you would research your subject. You would find out what your subject does for a living, whether or not they're known and renowned for this, and then a little bit about their character, maybe something about the rest of their life. One comment that somebody made that I thought was really interesting is that they would want to emphasize not just the content of his books, but also the content of his character. They would want to emphasize in the photograph that he's a really shrewd businessman. And some other things, too, I don't remember what they were, but I thought that that was a really fantastic take on it. A lot of people said that, of course, they would go out and they would research what other photographers have done, because this is a very public figure, Stephen King. He's been photographed a lot, and a lot of these photographs are somewhat famous. So you would want to make sure that you're not copying anything. Now, that being said, you kind of want to go with your first hit on your idea, but you want to make sure that you tweak it in a way that doesn't feel like it's copying anybody else. And so I personally really like the idea of emphasizing not just the content of his books, but also his character. So anyways, beyond that, you would want to research where you'll be photographing him. It says here in the question that you'll be in his home, so you want to go on, like people said, you want to see if there's anything that you can find out about his home prior to arrival, and if there's any way that you can scout locations in his home first, that would be great. Now, typically, if you're photographing somebody really uber famous, you have one meeting with them, and this meeting is short, because they didn't get to be uber famous by, lounging around and letting people waste a whole lot of time with them. So let's assume that you have an hour or less with him and you have one trip to his house. So what I would do personally is I would take a lot of equipment with me, and I would arrange in advance to have a complete set that I can put together in his house if I need to. Let's say a lot of you assumed that he would have a library. I don't know, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But you don't know that, so you want to make sure that you take a backdrop that will work in the event that you can't find any place in his house to photograph him that doesn't have distracting compositional elements in the background. So I would definitely do that. Also, you might not have any control over the time of day that you're going to be photographing him. So it's a good idea to take lots of light blocking materials. And so what I mean by this are going to be C-stands that you can hang just some black cloth on. So in the event that the available light is too distracting and you don't have much control over it, you'll be able to block it. Or, if you have a lot of practice using available light, take all of your light modification tools with you, because that might be helpful. Take lots of flags and lots of bounces, and then maybe some colored reflectors. So in my mind, so this was my conceptual idea. I would want to do 2 different lighting sets in one photograph. I would want to really specifically light the background in a way that was emphasizing the content of his books, and I would want to light him separately in a way that emphasize the content of his character. Now, to emphasize his character, I don't know how, we assume that hard light would be the way to go, because, it's going to look more severe, it's going to look really serious, and it might look good. But the thing about hard light is it also emphasize every nook and cranny and bit of topography on somebody's face, so it can be very unflattering. So I think that I would probably go for like a medium hardness of light myself. I don't think I would go really severe. I might use a pretty high ratio, but I'm not going to use perfectly hard light. I think I'm going to use a little bit of a diffuser, at least on the key light. I'm going to use a diffuser. On the fill, maybe I won't, but and also I might try to at least get 3 different shots while I'm there with 3 different qualities of light, because I just can't emphasize this enough, that hard light doesn't look good on everybody. It's not always the thing to go. So I might conduct the entire shoot that I'm about to describe once with very soft, and once with very hard, and once with kind of a medium hardness, softness of light. So anyways, and I would probably go with a pretty standard butterfly setup, because it's flattering, and I want to emphasize his character. I want people to know that this is a grounded and shrewd and intelligent person, and so that's what I'm going to go for. Now the background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a gobo. I'm going to cut myself some really severe looking shapes out of a black piece of foam board, and I'm going to put it in front of my light, a hard light, so that it's on the background. And hopefully he does have this bookcase that we all assume that he has with all of his great works in it. And so I can give the bookcase some really dramatic light, like maybe like as if it's coming through. It would look like, in my mind, it's coming through blinds at night. So maybe it's like I have a cold blue gel on there, so it's like this cool light coming through the blinds at night, and then I would have a warmer color on him. My photograph's in color, by the way, I didn't tell you that. So that's my idea. And so I would, so I'd have to check my bag and double check my bag, make sure that I've got enough lights to light the background individually, and then enough lights to light him individually. If I'm planning on using available light, I want to take every light modification tool I have. I don't think I would plan on that. I would just try to take every light blocking tool that I have and get rid of all the available light, and just to have complete control over the light with my lighting kit. I would be using strobes probably for lighting. I just would. I'd be more comfortable with it. They're a lot more powerful and they're a lot more flexible. But if you're using your tungsten, you're going to want to make sure also that you have as fast a lens to take with you as you can, because our tungstens just aren't as bright as strobes. So you're going to want to take a lens that has like a 1.8 or, anywhere between 1.2 and 1.8 aperture on it, because that's about as fast as they get. And if you don't have a lens like this in your arsenal of lenses, do it, get it, find it. You can purchase non-CPU lenses that will work with your camera, like a fixed focal length non-CPU, meaning non-digital lens. They're less expensive, and they usually have pretty high quality glass on them, and they afford you these really, really wide open apertures that are so desirable when you're using continuous light. Let's see, anything else? So I would double check all my equipment, make sure I have it. I would draw myself a schematic. So I would, just like I would give myself, say, assuming, 10 by 10 square feet, I'd probably find a space in his house that has 10 by 10 square feet to shoot. And I'll figure out on a diagram exactly where I'm going to put my lights. I'll draw it all out. I'm going to test this at my house first in my studio. And I'm going to make sure that it works. I'll probably just use a stuffed animal as a stand-in for Stephen King and make sure that my light ratios are working. So then when I show up, I can set the whole thing up, say, Mr. Stephen King, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've researched a little bit about you. This is interesting, blah, blah, blah. Please sit down. Take image number 1 with all hard light, take image number 2 with a little bit of hard, a little bit of soft light, and take number 3 with all the soft light. And then, thank you very much. Go on with your busy life. That's what I would do. A lot of people talked about doing a lot of communication with the publicist or whoever it was that was the go-between between you and Stephen King, and I think that's actually a really great idea. I would never think to do that. In my mind, like, nobody knows anything, and I'm just going to assume that I have to take care of everything myself. So I think that it's really wonderful that people are able to network in their head like that. I don't really network in my head. It has to actually happen in real life for me to realize that that's going to work out. But overall, everybody gave a really great answer for this, and it looks like you guys are well on your way to being very professional, smooth operators in the photographic field. Thanks a lot. And I really enjoyed a lot of the work that we looked at this week, and I'm looking forward to week 4.